What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. It's finished Newcastle 4, Tottenham 0 at St James's Park. An absolute rout in which Tottenham have been embarrassed against a very much depleted Newcastle team. Tottenham with pretty much close to, or if not their first 11 out there. Absolutely embarrassed on the day. But in terms of going through the game, I mean, it started off evenly enough. You know, we had a few chances. Werner missed a couple of really good presentable opportunities. Newcastle were looking a real threat on the counter, but it looked like quite an even game. But Tottenham's defensive frailties reared its ugly head, and we were the masters of shooting ourselves in our foot, weren't we? We were masters of our own downfall, I should say.
Pretty much gave them 2 goals right from, I don't know what it was, 20, 25 minutes in. We didn't take our chances before that. We managed actually quite well to silence the crowd first 10, 15 minutes. Then as soon as we conceded a goal and then conceded the second straight away, crowd on top of us, you could see in the body language, the Tottenham players not able to deal with it, still not able to deal with it. No leaders on that pitch. That's the first time I've said this season. No leaders on that pitch, and I really think that's because Son was actually partly responsible for at least one of those goals, maybe even 2, and as a result, he wasn't able to do anything. I mean, he's not a shouty leader anyway, but that was just embarrassing. Like I said it on the watch along, I've said the word embarrassing maybe 60 times. Like the way we have to go into the way we defend set pieces again. Like I think they only scored from 1 set piece, but they might have scored from 10 set pieces today. It's embarrassing. They do not jump for balls. They do not challenge for balls. They do not block runs. They are like under 10s compared to everybody else in the Premier League at defending set pieces. And next up, we've got Arsenal, who are the best at it.
Yeah, and I think, I think today's as well, it's just, you follow this performance up from, you think about the Fulham game, which was 2 away games ago. You have the Brighton game, which was at the back end of December time. But we clearly have this tendency of just being completely overawed by the opposition, not knowing how to deal with it defensively. Like, sometimes when you're up against it, I completely get what Ange is trying to do. We keep playing the same way, I get it. But sometimes when you're up against it, you have to have some sort of way of battening down the hatches, riding a storm, and just getting through periods so that you allow yourself those periods to dominate again. And it seems as though in these kind of games, we haven't managed to get into a situation where we're able to just keep the opposition quiet for a bit, get everyone behind the ball, get everyone defending in the proper situations. It's almost as if, like, once we're up against it, we completely just crumble, allow the opposition to dominate, allow them to just create as many chances as they want, essentially. And when we're off our game a bit, the opposition just find it so easy to create as many chances as they want. And that was another example of that today.
I think we need, I said it after the last game, we need a brilliant number 6 who is able to spot and smell danger and help out, because we're leaving 2-on-2 at the back, but today against Isak and Barnes and Gordon, they made Romero and Van der Ven look average, and they need help. They need a third. When we were brilliant under Pochettino, a lot of it was because in the early days, Eric Dyer would sit in as a third centre-half from defensive midfield, like when we were building up play, but also when we were being broken against. And that doesn't happen anymore. We don't have the stability when we're being broken against, especially against teams with pace and who are clinical. And they were clinical today.
Yeah.
And we've got to learn from this for next season. I do get it. I still feel confident that Ange is saying, this is how we're going to do it. We're learning how to be like this. But next season, he has to take some learnings from these beatings that we're getting.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning of the season you would have expected it would have happened. The problem, the issue is happening now, like near the end of the season, when we should have had our most progression kind of thing, and now we're taking a few batterings like against Fulham and today, and like you would have expected it would have happened earlier on, but clearly this is still a team on a learning curve. But today was just pathetic. It was pathetic, and there's no other way of putting it. It wasn't obviously, when we're on the ball, I do see us trying things, like we're trying to do things, but it's almost as if when we're getting hit in the transition, we're making it way too easy for the opposition to just one long ball in behind and they're in on goal. It's a one-on-one situation. And we're so weak in these defensive transitions, really weak. Udogie getting muscled off the ball, Anthony Gordon, Porro not looking up and just giving it straight to Gordon as well, who ended up scoring. We're not strong enough.
You don't get second chances in games against the top 6, against the top 8. And if you make a mistake like Udogie did in terms of there's one thing being out-muscled, right? He'd actually done the hard work. I'm talking about the first goal here. He'd done the hard work. He'd got his body in between Gordon and the ball. And then Gordon, who's much smaller than him, out-muscles him. And at that point, that is almost like where the biggest mistake is. He's got to take him down. At that point, you take him down.
Yeah.
So that's like a mistake followed by naivety. You take your yellow card and you say, fine, it's 0-0. You don't get a second chance. One goal goes in at St James's and you know what's going to happen. The crowd are up. And then we double down on our mistake because Pedro Porro does something completely mental, which is clearly because of the Ange playbook, which is like, even if you go a goal down, still try and play the hardest ball you can. Still try and be the bravest you can on the ball. But I get it. If that's in terms of this season about the philosophy, if that's about mindset, I get it. But next season, they have to be learning from things and be like, okay, if you concede a goal at one of the big grounds where the crowd is up, just hack it into Rosed straight away. Get your team back in. What did Newcastle do brilliantly all day? They slowed us down and they got themselves back in shape. We never made a chance. We never made a single gilt-edged chance because they slowed us down. They took their fouls. They made their fouls where they had to. They took a booking if they had to. I don't even think they got booked. They actually managed their professional fouls so well they didn't even get booked. And then they were 10 behind the ball every time. Every time.
Yeah, they didn't get any bookings.
It was
schoolboy
schoolboy stuff from Spurs today. We played into their hands. We allowed them to play direct. Their fans don't care that they're playing direct because they've won 4-0 and they'll say, we've got loads of injuries. Well, look, they're still 10 points behind us, so they've had a shit season. But we've got to learn from this stuff because teams like that, teams like Chelsea, teams like Man United, if not at the latter end of this season, next season, they will be better than they are now. So we need to improve a lot. And I think more and more as we go along, we need to buy a brilliant six, a Polinia, someone who sniffs it out. Because we are too open. It's too dangerous every time we lose the ball.
Yeah, but to what you said, like sometimes we concede a goal and we let the occasion get to like. I remember early in the season, we went to the Emirates, went 1-0 down early, and the crowd were on top of us, but we kept our composure. And this is such a difference to that team that we saw earlier in the season. And I don't know what has changed, why we are so different. But today we completely crumbled. Like at that third goal, just after half time, Son loses it on the edge of the opposition box. And then just one long ball straight over the top. And Isaac is 1-on-1. One long ball. That's all they needed.
We've got to be fair and we've got to be equal and we've got to say it as it is. Son had one of his worst games I've ever seen for Tottenham Hotspur today. And I'm glad that Ange took him off. He's a legend for this club. He's one elite player, world-class player. But he had a stinking game. He could not hold the ball up. He got it caught under his feet all the time. He made the wrong decision every time. And he was responsible for that goal. He was. Because the way we play, you've got to be as careful when you're holding the ball up as you are anywhere else on the pitch because we don't have any defenders. We're literally like you said, caught under a high ball. So you got to, I give him enough credit when he plays well, Sonny, but he had a terrible game today and I'm really pleased that Ange was brave enough to take him off.
Yeah, terrible performance. And that was a bit of a statement, taking off your captain on 55 minutes, which very rarely happens to Son. Shows Ange is willing to, make a tough call there. But we're 3-0 down already. So, you could even argue he's saving Son for future weeks, probably, because the game was over. It's true, we do have 2 weeks off. Yeah, look, it's not, I don't know how many more ways I can say how much of a shambles it was, because I thought Fulham was bad, and this was even worse because even at least Fulham, they've got their full strength team. It's always a tough place to go. But it's looking at Newcastle's team today. Murphy, a right back. You got Kraft playing at centre back. You got Anderson and Longstaff in centre mid, and not only were they competing with, I say battering us. They're destroying us with a depleted team. And
can I say something controversial?
I'm baffled.
Actually? If you were as bad at your job as Mile Jedinak is at his job at being the set-piece defensive coach, you'd lose your job.
Yeah.
You would lose your job. Now, I'm not saying he needs to lose his job because he's an overall coach as well, right? But it is embarrassing that Ange Postecoglou has come out and said, I don't believe in set-piece coaches.
And then we're that bad.
The only way you can say that is if you're actually good at it. Mm-hmm. And we're terrible at defensive and attacking set-pieces. So that needs to be something we learn from too. Somebody needs to get him to change his mind. He needs to come out and say I was wrong.
It was pathetic today. They had 15 corners. I think they had pretty much a chance from each one. And then from the 15th corner, you think, okay, at least one maybe will keep out, and they get the chance, they score from it and make it 4-0 late on. And that goal from the corner was absolutely coming all day. They had about 10 chances from corners. They didn't get, luckily for us, didn't go in the back of the net. But the last one, they did manage to get it.
Imagine how easy it's going to be for Saliba and Gabriel, and then when we play Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk, against the way we defend those corners. Christ alive.
Well, we have a tough run in now in the next few games. Obviously, people may be thinking the next few games, looking forward to it, because, you know, we've been quite good against the big sides this season. But off the back of that, you can't help but be worried now with Arsenal coming to Tottenham Stadium, now then away to Chelsea and Liverpool, which our away form is absolutely in shatters at the moment, in tatters, I should say, at the moment. Then you've got Burnley and then Man City. So some really, really tough games. We actually drop out of the top 4 today after that result. Hopefully, I would say hopefully Arsenal could do us a favour, but I don't want them winning the league, so I don't want them winning. But with fifth at the moment, definitely not guaranteed Champions League. We'll be looking at that top 4. So Arsenal will play Villa tomorrow with hopefully they do us a favour. But at the moment, definitely this top 4 ain't going to be easy with the run we have. Not going to be easy.
You're a Newcastle fan now. You're looking at that 10 points with the run-in they've got, and they're thinking, oh, we might be able to get in the top 5 ourselves.
Well, that is.
But nobody will give Newcastle as easy a game as we just did.
No, that's
nobody
for sure.
will be as naive as we were. So
I'm just baffled. I'm baffled how easy we made it. Like, how it's such an easy game for Newcastle. We have something fighting for something this season. We're fighting for that top 4. We should be the ones really in the ascendancy, and Newcastle completely blast away. I'm just baffled about how easy we made it for them. But look, that is all we have for the watch on. That is your instant match reaction. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on today's game. I mean, it was absolute shambles. Just a quick reminder, today's watch along was in partnership with the Testicular Cancer Society. If you do want more information, do go in the link is in the description below, www.testicularcancersociety.org. Please do go get checked out. Have a feel around, see if there's any lumps. An early diagnosis is the best way to combat testicular cancer. So this watch along was brought to you in collaboration with them. Thank you, Barnaby, for joining me today's watch along. Go check him out as well. The link is in the title of this video for the Spurred On podcast at Barnaby Slater in the title of this video if you want to see more of Barnaby. We'll be back with the post-match fan show very shortly, so go check that out. You can come on and have your say about the absolute shambles that was today's debacle at St James's Park. But yeah, that is all for the watch along. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.